Hey guys, CDTVThaG here, and the G of course stands for grape. They did surgery on a grape. And today, we are going to be reacting to the new album from J.I.D, DiCaprio Too. Now, I call him Jid, you call him J.I.D, it's all good, we don't have to have any arguments about it, we both love his music, it's all good. So, I'm incredibly excited for this, this is probably one of my most anticipated albums of the year, and now it's right here, in my hand, in a way. It's on Apple Music, which is on my phone, which is in my hand, and I'm very excited for this. 151 Rum, absolute fire. Off Deez, which my reaction to is up on this channel, I'll leave that link below. Absolute fire. And I believe I've heard Hasta Luego. If I'm correct, that was out before the album, but I've only heard it once. But I remember it being very good. And then Workin Out as well, which is just a great song. So beautiful. Not to mention, we have a track that features Method Man and Joey Bada on the same track, and it's called Hotbox. That's gonna be a classic. And then, you know I have to mention it, we have a track called Despacito Too. Album of the year. Also, my reaction to the Never story is up on this channel, by the way, so I'll leave that linked in the description below if you want to check that out after this one. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram under the name CDTV Productions. I'd really appreciate you follow me on Twitter because trying to get on 10k there before the end of the year. With that being said, we don't even need to waste any more time. Jid, DiCaprio Too. Let's jump right into it. Track number 1, which is called Frequency Change. Okay. Okay, it's setting up like a TV type theme, you know, DiCaprio. Someone's flicking through channels, okay.
Oh shit, there they go.
Interesting little kind of skit to start out the album. Obviously, that was just to kind of set up this DiCaprio 2 theme, where I've listened to the first DiCaprio EP or mixtape once, and I remember it had all these skits, with samples from Leonardo DiCaprio movies. So that was obviously, you know, the theme of it. And this one, it's starting off by setting up that TV theme by having someone kind of flicking through channels. Don't need to say much about that, so let's move on to track number 2, which I'm assuming will be the first song on here. We have Slick Talk. I'm so excited for this.
Activation, maturation, process rap game too saturated, grabulated, masturbation on the face of acting patient. I'm finna elevated when I came in and be claiming the seas. I don't care about being famous and shit. I was a bad little never had
Oh my
get the bad.
God.
So my fanboy, I am who I am. I'm Martin Gina, cold time in your plan. Start scheming, boy, you diaries.
Oh wow. You didn't have to change the channel again, I was enjoying that.
Okay, it's the type of shit that have snippers and beef that's kicked off.
Oh,
Some stick talk.
the beat switch. Jid, you're killing me already, man. Yeah, I just want his flow is absolutely ridiculous. And then that beat switch was so unexpected. That was just like the Astroworld beat switches where it just kind of changes up out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that at all. So that was dope, man. My microphone is falling down. Stop. This is already going great. I'm gonna go back and just so I can listen to that beat switch again because that was great. It's the fact that those drums hit so hard when it comes back in.
Cause if this is a competition, then I'm setting this ball. In my city, who's with me? I'm in my own lane, Jack. Nigga said jit so flame, my propane rap. But we don't even move into the rent, dude.
Jid just has a naturally melodic voice. I've said this before, but there's a melody just when he uses his speaking voice.
My nigga gone for 17 years like a cicada. More than a motivator.
That's lines from his XXL 2018 freestyle. I think it was the freestyle because I recognize that line. Usually I'm not a fan of hearing something I've already heard before. But in this case, I'm okay with it because the verses before it have been so dope that he's obviously put a lot of effort into this anyway.
We divorcing now, want the cars ring close all the house. You broke my heart and reorganized it. I'm really trying to be mature about it, but I gotta kill it like a fucking kill a dream, kill a skill, kill a rhyme to the city. But I should've killed a rapper cause I could've done, nigga. This a gun and a bullet.
God damn. That was a hard ass way to start off the album. That track just felt like it was Jid pretty much just flexing his rapping abilities and saying, you know, I'm better than your favorite rapper, basically. There was definitely parts where it sounded like he was trying to start a competition with other rappers. It's got an amazing first verse, a great beat switch, and then after the beat switch, he was just going in, talking his shit, and it made for a dope-ass song overall. Definitely a strong start to it, and like I said, after the beat switch, the drums just hit so hard on that second beat. The snares were so snappy. it was hard hitting, man. Well, let's jump straight into the next track, track number 3, which is Westbrook featuring ASAP Ferg. I'm hoping this is gonna be a banger. Let's see what we get. We got some dark bells, so it already sounds like it's gonna be a banger.
Put your chains up and your rings up. Fuck the other side. We don't change up, change us.
We hit the pack with the weed in the sack, in the back, in the black J.I.D with the gat. G's with the jeans on the straps, on the scene with the lean, with the cream, how you been with your wet. Seen what I seen on the scene with the beam on the rack. No move, it's a thing on your head. Put the hold in that ball.
That rhyme scheme was ridiculous.
Serving drugs, I give a deal when she mad, but she know that the rap, I ain't got time for the man. She know that I'm capping for the snap on these rap niggas in every jag, you get the rap from the back.
I said it on the last track, but Jid's flow is ridiculous. Like, he's always had a really good flow, but I feel like on this album, he's stepping it up to like 11. Because he's always flowed really well. Like, if you listen to his older mixtapes, like Power 2 or, you know, the original DiCaprio, his flows are really great on there. Like, his flow is still really fluid, but I feel like on this tape, he's stepped it up even more. The rhyme schemes are getting better. The flows are even more smooth and even more slick. I feel like it's just on this tape, he's really starting to perfect his flow, because it's been amazing before, but it just keeps getting better.
Picture a nigga stepping into the game, it's already lit, just add a little cold to flame. Lame niggas, I gotta put it in lamest terms. I'm finna murder you niggas, you better spread the word. Tell a nigga jump if he feeling Kermit. If he's sleeping on me, we can make it permanent. To leave him stinking here, really permanent, he really reeking.
The delivery switches as well.
Losing my mind, bro. Give me the time, bro.
Coming in with some aggression now, man.
For mine, bro. See what you grind for.
Does Ferg only have the hook though? I would have liked to hear a Ferg verse, but it's all good. 2 tracks that we've heard so far have been absolutely ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, I would have liked to have an ASAP Ferg verse on this song. He just handled the chorus on it. Either way, he provided to the track. You know, Ferg always has a lot of energy and charisma to his voice, so he put that into the track, and then J.I.D came in on the verses with his ridiculous flow. Some really good rhyme schemes. I really like the rhyme scheme on the first verse. J.I.D with the gat, G's with the jeans on the straps, on the scene with the lean, get the cream, how you been, where you at. Like, it just sounds, it's one of those things that sounds nice to say. Like, you say it back to yourself and it just feels slick. It's been these 2 tracks, and then the next track is Off Deez. So that's pretty much like 3 tracks in a row where it's basically Jid flexing his like flow talent and his rap skills, right? So I'm wondering if after 151 Rum it takes a bit more of a change to focus on content-based things, because 151 Rum definitely had a lot of just a pretty dark story packed into the lyrics, a true story. So I'm thinking after Off Deez, then 151 Rum, it's going to change into being, you know, a little bit more content. This has been great so far. So next up we have track number 4, which is Off Deez. I've already heard it. My reaction is up on this channel. I'm going to listen to it again, you know, just to keep the flow of the album, but I'm not going to put much of a reaction into this video, considering I've already listened to it on camera. Oh, I love this song so much, man. 151 Rum is my favourite single from this album, but this is still so dope. And J. Cole's so great on here too. Like I said, my full reaction to that track will be linked down below if you want to see, you know, my first full reaction and full thoughts on it. All you need to know is that I love this track. It's great. J. Cole and J.I.D both kill it. I was surprised to hear J. Cole flow like that fast, because it's not something that he typically does. Great stuff all around. So next up we have another track which I've already heard. I haven't listened to this one on camera, but I do love this song. Again, there won't be much of a reaction to it in this video because I've already heard it. But track number 5, we have 151 Rum. This is one of my favourite J.I.D songs, like hands down. So my first time listening to it through these speakers though, so I'm kind of excited for that.
Son of a guy, son of a bitch, son of a woman and man, son of a son and a sunk in the bitch.
My favorite part is coming. This part. Just those like little edits on his voice, they add so much energy to it. The track absolutely bumps, but it's also pretty dark as well. Absolutely mad track. Love that one. You know what I've noticed about this project so far? We're 5 tracks in. We haven't had a bad track. We haven't had a good track. We've had all great tracks so far. 4 songs, I guess, 4 songs in. And all 4 of those songs have been great. Like, I've really loved them all. There hasn't been a single track that I've kind of disliked or felt a bit iffy on so far. And there might be by the end of it, there probably will be. But so far, it's been absolutely fantastic. Like, this couldn't have opened up any better. And yeah, even though the song is like so like hard hitting and it sounds like it could be a track where he's just kind of rapping, he's really talking about some serious stuff on here, like talking about, for example, one of his friends who was called Lil Tay that he was standing next to when he got shot, and the way he puts it into words, man, I wish that bullet missed him, but it didn't, and since I've been living with it like a sickness. It's hard hitting, man. It's a hard hitting track. This is easily my favorite single from the album. I've said that before, but it's so good. Now, let's get back into another track which I haven't heard yet. We have track number 6. Let's continue this strong album. We have Off the Zoinkys. Very interesting name. Oh. Sounds like it's gonna be soulful and I fuck with that.
Y'all niggas need to lay off the drugs. Some of y'all need to lay off the dope. My niggas getting it straight off the boat. Pure cut, put it straight to your nose. I ain't nosy, but I know what I know. Get the blunt and mix the hand with the weight. I'ma go ahead and lay off the Zans. I'ma fall back, sipping the lean. I gotta make sure my vision is clear. Oh God, no, where are my friends? Lord forgive me, yeah, I need to repent. My blood need to lay off the drugs. Yeah, God ain't praying enough. Niggas die, we ain't saying enough. I ain't tripping, I ain't saying it's wrong, but it's some other shit we could be on.
Okay. This one was all about, you know, drugs and pretty much wanting to lay off of them. I mean, it ends with, I ain't tripping, I ain't saying it's wrong, but it's some other shit we can be on. And it was still a pretty hard track as well. I really loved the, like I said, that kind of like soul sample at the start or whatever it was. It's just, I love that kind of sound. I don't know what it is about it, but I really enjoy it. It was probably like my least favorite track, like sonically so far, but that's not to say it was bad at all, because it definitely wasn't. It was still a great track, still great sounding track, just my least favorite in terms of how it actually sounds so far. But I mean, that doesn't really matter because, like I said, there was definitely a lot more in the lyrics of this. Up next, we have track number 7, which is Workin Out, which is another track from this album that I've already heard. So I'm just going to listen to it, just chill back, listen to it, and again, not put much of a reaction into the video because you guys know it's one that I've already heard.
I'm sure that I could possibly do nothing for you.
Was this on the song before? I can't remember.
You winning, you an object already. Your objects appearing closer than you ready for. Obviously, you don't know what's ahead. I've been praying to the Lord. Shit ain't really working out now.
Come on, bro. Come to the booty club one time. Throw some of that Dreamville money.
That Dreamville money.
Why that nigga J. Cole got all this money? Look like he about to borrow somebody charger or something. Come on, bro. Let me get your charger, bro. Let me get my shit to 10%, and I get this shit back to you, bro.
That was pretty funny. That little skit at the end, you know, talking about why has J. Cole got all this money, but he looks kind of homeless. Yo, this track is so nice though. I love it. So chilled and relaxed. And another one that's more content based, whilst also sounding just amazing. Well, next up, we have track number 8, and that's pretty much it for the tracks that I've heard from this album. So the only one I've heard is track number 14, the last track, Hasta Luego. Everything up until that is going to be completely new, so I'll have a lot more to say about the upcoming tracks. So next up, we have track number 8, which is Tiiied, featuring Black and LMA. So glad I found out you don't say his name is 6 Lack before I did this video, because that's what I used to call him all the time. Which, in my opinion, is a pretty catchy name. I like the name 6 Lack. I think it sounds good. I haven't listened to much of Black's music, and I don't think I've listened to any of LMA's music. I know that Black and J.I.D collaborate a lot though. Let's jump right into it. Okay.
And I get mad, you don't even wanna be here. And you get mad cause you don't even wanna leave her. And I was bad cause we ain't even seen the previews. And now she mad, taking shit to social media. And I just need you to tell me how you feeling now.
Jed, you're hitting me here. You're hitting home. Wow, okay. This does remind me in a way to tracks kind of like All Bad and Hereditary. Just the overall sound and the kind of message they have. I don't think it's the exact same, but this is obviously about a girl who's just causing a lot of problems for Jed, and he's tired of it. And there's some dope lines on this. Some lines that I'm sure a lot of people will find relatable, like, how you gonna dump me and then leave with my hoodie, and you ain't coming back, give me back my hoodie. Now you're trying to make a scene at the movies, you really want to act, bitch, we at the movies. That was nice. I want my money back, I'm leaving, forget it. Oh, so this is really nicely done. And now she mad, taking shit to social media, and I just need you to tell me how you're feeling, and I just need you to come at me with real shit. Jed, man, these lines hitting home, man. These lines hitting home.
Staring at the screen, only thinking how I feel. For real. It's a no for me, though. I guess I gotta let you free fall. Do my shit like we in a gym.
I like his voice.
I'm talking my shit cause I'm up in hand, dog. How you let it drag on spiral?
Oh, no. He did not just say, how you let it drag on spiral. Because dragon.
You've been so down on your luck, the stuff ain't looking up. You need something that's taking you higher. Maybe you're out of touch in a rush. And I've been kicking your butt, but that ignited your fire.
Alright, so that's her take on the hook.
Maybe you really hate me, you can't be. You need for something to say, cause little baby, it's tired.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like how that tied back to the hook and the stuff Jid was saying. That track was great. I loved what he was talking about on here and the kind of theme of it, and really love Jid's verse on here. A lot of like relatable lines. His hook was beautiful as well. I love the flow on it and the way just the whole kind of melody of it, the way it sounded, it was great. And Black, I really like Black here as well. I like his voice. There was that Spyro Dragon line, which I'll let it slide, but it wasn't a good line. And Ella May as well. I like how she did her own take on the hook. You know, she basically took Jid's hook and kind of twisted it to her own situation. I kind of like how they did that. You know, we get the male perspective and the female perspective on this song, which is pretty cool. It's very much like the song All Bad from the Never Story, where it's J.I.D. and I believe you say her name like Mariba. They have the male and female perspective on that song, and that's a bit more of a melodic song. So this very much reminds me of that, but it definitely stands on its own as its own track. Let's move on to track number 9, which is Skrawberries, featuring BJ the Chicago Kid. He's got a great voice too, from what I've heard. I haven't heard much of his stuff, but heard a couple features I really like from him. So let's see how this sounds.
My girl booty soft and shit like a strawberry. Her pussy ball with a tat like Stephon Marbury. Yeah, for life, baby, I'm dressed for the war, baby girl, I'm the soldier.
His voice, man.
But tripping like this back and forth, wonder who gon' hold you.
Hitting those notes, goddamn.
You get mad, I'm mad, we sleep it out. And then she had a man who used to beat her, so she told me she wanted out. Got a couple of abortions out, that pussy's a haunted house. Now
oh, jeez, that was a bar, man.
I understand the time that you go through your woman things, and sometimes can't gauge clearly on what you be thinking. My homegirl rapping, she feminist, hold it down for the women, I call her feminine. Tell them how you really feel, head ass, cause ass shots are dead ass and fake tits been around, we gas it. Girl, you perfect without that makeup or the plastic surgery. I'ma tell you how it is like Ron Burgundy.
Nice. Pretty dope track. I think that was maybe like my least favorite song so far, but it was still pretty damn good. I don't even know what it was necessarily about it that made me like it a bit less than the other tracks. I guess I wasn't huge on the beat, but again, everything that J.I.D. did on here I loved, and BJ the Chicago Kid with that chorus, man, he was hitting those notes, god damn. Similarly to like the previous track, it was kind of about issues that Jid is having with this girl in their relationship. You know, this one is a much more kind of like positive look on it, because it seems like even though despite these issues that they're having, they're willing to like work everything out together, you know, and make things work out between them. I guess just overall, sonically, it's just my least favorite, but still a good track. So track number 10, one that I am really excited for. We have Hotbox featuring Method Man and Joey Badass. What a trio, man. J.I.D, Method Man, and Joey Badass. Method Man, obviously I love his music because I love the Wu-Tang Clan, my favourite rap group of the 90s easily. And Joey Badass, I think, one of the most underrated rappers out there today, or at least underappreciated.
I sit back and recline and inhale. Bitch, I'm back on my grind, you can't tell. Silly cockroaches, don't forget the Glock is closer to me. I ain't gonna do no molly with you, but you so fine, I try and do some molly off your butt. I ain't trying to sabotage your killer vibe. I made a joke so I can hide what it is I really feel inside.
Light a booger up, wedgie in the butt, yeah, we pulling up. My cup running full, gon' push me up, I'm gone. Push me up, Mr. How high that I can kiss the sky. Gon' look me up.
Any money more, I pick a flow and sit sad. J.I.D and Joey, they say we the best style. Y'all ain't ready for this, I'm back spasming. Chain too heavy, it's giving me back spasming.
Damn, I hate to say it because that was the one that I was looking forward to the most on this album, or one of the ones that I was looking forward to the most on this album, but yeah, I didn't really like that track that much. I really thought I would, but I didn't really get that much enjoyment from it. The Joey Badass hook was just Jid's verse, I mean, again, the writing is still really good in his verse. It's still a really well written verse, but it was one that just, there was nothing in it that really pulled me in or intrigued me. It was just kind of a very dry track, I guess. A very, very dry track. Maybe this is one that would be a lot more enjoyable when you actually are high, but currently I am not. So, yeah, I just found it a bit bland, honestly. It had a lot more of a old school hip hop vibe to it, which I do appreciate. You know, it had a more boom bappy style beat, and obviously Method Man is on it. I just feel like this one This one didn't hit. This now is definitely my least favourite track on the album. But I mean, the album is still pretty amazing so far, so let's move on to track number 11, which is called Mounted Up. It's an interesting beat.
Do a thrust with my pelvis. My shoes sway, but don't fuck with no Elvis. Up black until it's no longer fact. Murder the game, kill it, metaphysical, living deranged vision, not a typical picture, the same living, but I'm limited edition. I change prison, am I tripping? A nigga be tripping. I'm feeling like most of you nigga be slipping. I'm giving you tips and the niggas just went with it. I say you stupid, hella reminiscent of a stupid nigga. What they do to niggas kill.
Oh, he's still going?
Wow, do recruit a nigga, booty, suit a nigga, send him to the other side. Boy, carnivore, ready for any war, send him for 50 more, penny more, give me more, see me, Lord.
That track was interesting. I really didn't like the beat on that one. It was weird. It kind of like intrigued me at first, but then the more it went on, it just got like a little bit annoying. It very much reminds me of the beat for the song Laffy Taffy by D4L, I think. I've always despised that song because of the beat. It's always kind of annoyed me, and this track had that similar kind of beat. J.I.D kind of started to save it in verse 2 with his flow. You know, verse 1 was decent, and then we had the chorus, which was nice. The chorus had a little bit of a kind of almost eerie vibe to it. And then verse 2 kicked off, and we just had that crazy flow switch, and he kept like this really consistent flow pretty much all the way up to the end of the verse. Second verse, I think, was amazing, but as a whole, it's not a track that I'm going to listen to that much. I think if the whole song was like that part of the second verse, I would have loved it. For me, it's definitely a little bit of like a dip in the album for me, because Skrawberries, like, that's still a very good track. I could definitely listen to that again. But then Hotbox, I didn't like that much, and this song was just okay. So we've had a bit of a dip the past 3 tracks, but everything before that has been amazing, and we still got 3 more to go. So, track number 12, we have Just the Other Day.
Just the other day, it was just a dream to make it.
Alrighty, liking this beat much more. Alright, we back on. We back on, J.I.D. Okay.
You got a 5, I got a 5, let's ride. Just the other day, I was running from the folks like, oh,
love that beat.
Too slow. Just the other day, I was broke as a bitch, walking to work.
Ooh, the 808s, man.
I never been a dope man, but I'm the dopest of men. Do with the dope, throw 5, 4.5, so on, so forth. I'm trying to get my fucking.
I love when he just does little weird things with his flow like that no one else really does. Like, it goes a little bit off kilter, but it still works so well.
Was it that hurricane in here last night? It would appear that something sexual or severe haven't been that I see liquor and beer, weed, people still in the living room, sleep, come and see. She say I'm dizzy, don't wanna move, just wanna lay under me. Honestly, I know that just the other day you was goddamn broke.
Ooh. Oh, I love that. Just like the grittiness of that. I love those kind of like grimy raw sounds on beats. Like that kind of shit. Yeah, that was another dope track again. So we're back to having a good track. This was kind of focused on pretty much where J.I.D used to be and where he's at now. And him, you know, just rapping really well while doing it. There's some stuff he does with his flow where it's so kind of off kilter, like he goes places with his cadences or flows or whatever where like you wouldn't expect him to go. It always kind of catches me off guard, and I really like that. I think J.I.D and piano beats is just a deadly combination, man. Because here, even though he was rapping, he still had a little bit of melody in his voice to kind of match with the piano-based instrumental, and I thought it sounded really good. Also, when the verses kicked in, they stood out from the hook a lot, because I don't know if there wasn't any 808s during the hook, but during the hook the 808s weren't as present, whereas they really kicked in during the verses, so it made it stand out. Really enjoyed this one. So track number 13, technically the last track on the album, because track number 14 is a bonus track. We have the one I've been waiting for this whole time, Despacito Too. Ever since I saw the track list announced, I was curious to see how Despacito 2 is going to sound. And I hope J.I.D impresses us, man.
Watch them pee, plenty lion and many bison. Seen some, seen one, but it's not many like them. I'm just straight beside your gumbo. I make myself sit down. What you wanna be, kid? A doctor, a lawyer, exploring the coral reef shit? Oh, you gon' be a rapper with your dumb ass? Just because you used to bump cats, talk fast, and tap a drum pad, you think
okay, there we go.
Motherfucker with your offering, talker, sheep is over. I keep receipts, I beat the beat and eat the beat, so I can beat the beat if I want to. Meet the devil in hell, but niggas will hunt you. When it's dog all around and you looking for some, but in the heart of the jungle, my nigga, you run. You could be whatever you want, better get you a gun, better do what you want, whatever you feel in your stomach, whatever you gotta do at the moment. Only the strong survive, only the strong in mind and soul and spirit and spine. You stand firm, you rise.
I still don't know why the song's called Despacito 2, but it is. Obviously, I know the meme that it's referencing, I just don't get why this specific track was called that. But I mean, either way, I think This was another song that kind of reminded me of, I think it was Mounted Up, because this one was really, in my opinion, saved by the last verse, because, you know, it still sounded pretty hard during the first two verses, but it wasn't something that really impacted me till the third verse. You know, the third verse was where I really felt like J.I.D was actually starting to say something. He was kind of talking about his career path, like where people kind of expected him to go, and people doubting that he could be a rapper. And then at the end of the third verse, again, he just went in with that crazy, ridiculous flow. That was mad. And the fact that the beat dropped out completely and just put all the focus on his voice, you can still hear just how smooth that shit is. Like, he absolutely killed it. But for me, I didn't really love anything on this song except the third verse. The third verse was easily the best part for me. So let's go to the bonus track. That was basically the last track on the album. And this track, I've heard Hasta Luego before, but I can't remember what it sounds like because I think I've only heard it once. So let's go on to the final track of the album, track number 14, Hasta Luego.
Checking, I never get it, been around and seen it, never had it.
I don't remember this track at all, but it's fucking hard.
I thought it was love here. I thought I was good. I'm stuck in the mud here. I'm looking for
I love J.I.D with this kind of sound. This is dope.
I only do it because I'm never really talking about it. Turn the music loud. How the fuck did anyone assume the God, the Son?
That's a great track. Honestly, even though that's a bonus track, that's one of my favorite tracks on the project. I think J.I.D sounds great over this kind of dark, bassy production. Really loved how the pre-chorus sounded on this one too. The pre-chorus sounded beautiful, man. So yeah, good way to close it out. Good way to close it out as a bonus track. So overall, what do I think of DiCaprio 2 by J.I.D or J.I.D? This was a pretty damn great album. I was definitely personally a much bigger fan of the first half than the second half. I feel like on the second half, the album kind of started to trail off for me. It started going into that sound that I don't particularly love for J.I.D. Starting from Skrawberries, I felt like things just started to dip a little bit. Especially with Hotbox. Just the Other Day was dope. Like, in the second half, I really liked Tiiied, Just the Other Day, and Hasta Luego, but Despacito 2 and Mounted Up were okay. Hotbox I didn't really like, and Skrawberries was pretty good, but not as amazing as everything else before it. Whereas with the first half, holy shit, the first half of this album, loved Slick Talk, loved Westbrook, Off Deez 151 Rum, Off the Zoinkys was pretty good, loved Workin Out, loved Tiiied. Tiiied isn't in the first half, but shut up. I think the first half of this album is absolutely phenomenal. If I had to pick my absolute favourite tracks from the project, it's tough, but I go with Slick Talk, 151 Rum, Workin Out, Tiiied, Just the Other Day, and Hasta Luego. I think that's probably going to change after I listen to the album more, but right now I think those 6 are my favourites, and I can't narrow it down any more than that. I don't want to leave any of these tracks off my favourites, and there's still tracks that aren't on my favourites there that I love, like Off Deez and Westbrook. So yeah, I think this was definitely a very good album, definitely one of the best of 2018, I don't think there's any question there, but I just wish it didn't trail off in the second half for me, because that stops it from being like the album of the year for me. But definitely J.I.D should be proud of this. Like, this is really good stuff. Honestly, I feel like maybe the downfall for me on some of the tracks on the second half, it might have just been the beat choices. Because I like J.I.D as a rapper on almost every single track that he's on, so I'm assuming it must just be the beats that I don't like on the songs that I wasn't a huge fan of in this project. And that's the only like reasonable way I can find to explain it. I did think this was a pretty amazing album, but I am gonna need like a few more listens to really kind of get my final thoughts on it and think about where I'm going to place it in my, 10 best albums of the year list, because right now I'm not 100% sure where it would go. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy this one. Let me know your thoughts on DiCaprio 2 down in the comments below, what your favorite tracks were, what your least favorite tracks were. But like I said, you can follow me on Twitter under the name CDTV Productions. I would highly appreciate that. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. This is CDTVThaG, signing out.